Howdy gang, in today's episode of Pool School, I am going to answer a request by one of my subscribers who asked me if I could show them specifically how to adjust, that means raise or lower, the output of a Hayward Pro-Logic Salt Cell. So we're going to do that right now. Alrighty, before we go any further, I want to remind you to like this video if you do, subscribe to this channel if you have not done so, and please share this channel with your friends who own pools, especially now because in Arizona it's the beginning of May and we're already in triple digits. That means swim season has already started in Arizona. Alrighty, so as I said, I'm going to answer this question that one of my subscribers asked, and it is specifically based for the Hayward Pro-Logic Salt System. I'm going to show you how to adjust the output of that cell through the motherboard. Okay, so let's go back, take a look at one. Alrighty, this is a Hayward Aqua-Logic. It's made by, it's called their Gold Line series, but it's the same motherboard basically as the Pro-Logic. So right now the system is running, and I want you to notice something because we've got to put this into a mode that I like to use. Now there's a light that says check system that's on. Don't worry about that from this one because this person is actually going to be converting to a regular chlorine again, and so because their sensor always keeps sending a bad message, so they're kind of tired of the salt system, so we're going back to chlorine. But this is the thing I want you to pay attention to, and that is the service button right here. Okay, right now that little light next to it is not on, it's not flashing. Okay, you can do this adjustment anytime with any of these, but I'm going to turn this to timeout so that way you can hear me better. So I'm going to push this button once, and that's going to set it on what they call service mode. You notice how the system shut off, okay? It was on regular program mode, which is just your typical run mode. But now the light there next to the service button is glowing red, and it's not flashing. So that's telling me it's in service mode. This is very important. If you put it into service mode, the unit will stay in whatever function you put it in. If you have the filter running, then it will stay running until you get it off of that service mode. If you have it stopped, it will stay stopped until you take it off that service mode. Again, that's indicated by that solid red light right there next to the service button, okay? That can be a little bit dicey because if you decide you're gonna turn it off for a pool party, and then 3 days later you go, oh my gosh, I forgot I turned this thing off, you might have a green pool. So you're gonna wanna make sure you bring that back to regular mode, okay? And I'll show you how to do that in a moment. So I've pressed that button once to take it off of the timer mode, which is the regular mode, and it's on service mode. I'm gonna push it one more time, and you'll notice that light is now flashing. That's kind of where I like to do all my adjustments and things like that, because what that does is, if I want to leave the system off, it will stay off, or it'll stay in this mode, whatever I created. If I push filter, it'll go on, right? And it'll stay like that for about an hour and a half, and then if I forget, it will automatically go back to the regular timer, okay? If I turn it off while it's on timeout mode, when that light is flashing, that means it's timeout mode. That allows me to do what I need to do, open the pump up and clean it and all that, the basket, and then if I forget, in about an hour and a half, this thing will reset to the timer mode, and then when it goes through its cycle, it'll just turn on again as it normally does, okay? So I've got this set at timeout mode so I can go and adjust the chlorine output, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my menu. Now that I've gone through and set it to timeout, which again you don't have to do, I'm going to push the menu button. You watch what happens on top here. As I push the menu, the first thing I get is a settings menu. That's what I want. Using these arrows here, I'm going to use the right one. I'm going to push the right one once, and that says superchlorinate off. I don't ever use a superchlorinate feature on salt systems because the system has to be running to superchlorinate. So I just tell people, if you want to superchlorinate your pool or shock your pool and you have a salt system, just dump a couple bags of shock in your pool and get the chlorine levels up, or better yet, a gallon or so of liquid chlorine. So I push that button once, right, that arrow once. I'm going to push it again, and that takes me to pool chlorinator. Now you notice the pool chlorinator is now reading 100%. These up and down are, see these buttons right here? That's a plus button and a minus button. If I want to bring that level down, it's the pool chlorinator is saying, and this is the output of the cell, is saying 100%. Every time I push that button, I'm going to push the minus button. You notice it went down by 5%. So if I keep pushing that button, it'll just keep going down 5% increments at a time. All right, and you take it down as much as you want. To go up, I'm going to hit the plus button right there and watch what will happen. I'm at 70, push it once, 75. So again, every time I push that plus button, it goes up by 5% until it gets to 100%. So that's pretty much how you do it. Then you can kind of leave it like this, but so nobody ends up touching it and messing with it. Once I've got it to the level I want, I go back to my menu button and I'm going to push it again. And you notice it goes to the timers menu. That's another video on how to set the timers for it to start and stop and how long you want it to run and what time and what days. We're not going to do that. I'm going to push that menu button again and it goes into diagnostic menu, another video for another time. I push it another time, it goes to configuration menu, which is locked. That's one you don't want to mess with. Okay, I push it one more time and it goes to default menu. That's where I want it to be left. Because see, it just went back to its regular thing. The default menu is where it just runs through and goes through all the little details of your system, okay? Once I've done that, I've got it set. It's just a matter of turning the system back on. So remember, I set it at timeout. So I'm just gonna push the button one more time because that will take it off of timeout. And you'll hear that the system will fire up because the timer is set that it's still running. And there it goes. I close this. And that, folks, is all there is to it. So folks, that is how you adjust the salt or purifier output of either a Hayward Aqua-Logic or Pro-Logic salt system. It's pretty simple. Remember, you don't really need to put the system into service or timeout in order to do the adjustment on the settings, but I tend to like to do that. That's just my own personal preference. But remember though, that service button, remember if it's on its regular run, that light to the left of it shouldn't be illuminated at all. If you push it once and the light illuminates and stays on, that means you're in service mode, meaning if you turn the filter on then, it will run until you take it off of that mode. If you turn it off in service mode, it will not run until you take it off, and that could prove problematic if you forget to turn it back on and back to the timer setting. Then you may end up with a green pool if you leave it for several days. Anyway, I tend to like the timeout setting, and again, that's when you push it that third time, the light flashes next to it, and that tells me I'm in timeout mode. So if I forget and I've left the system on, it will go back and reset itself to the normal timer in about an hour and a half. If I turn it off and I forget to do it while it's in timeout mode, in an hour and a half, it will reset back to the timer mode, and the next time the timer cycles through, it'll turn on. So, but again, and then to take it off of that mode, push the service button one more time, and when that little light next to it on the left doesn't illuminate, that means you're back to your regular timer run modes. So I hope that made sense. If you have any questions or comments, you can always post them in the comment section below this video, or if you'd like, you can email me directly, and my email address will show right across the bottom of the screen right here. It is kennypoolschool@gmail.com. Once again, kennypoolschool@gmail.com. Thanks again so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe and share this channel with your friends. And again, because we're back in swim season, and even if it's not, and you have a pool or there's water around, please remember, have fun, be safe, and always, always, always watch those kids and pets and the elderly around water. And I will see you next time.